Monday, March 11th, 2024. Welcome to the main evening news on Millennium TV with me, Given Banda. Stories making headlines. Ministry of Finance releases 11.7 billion kwacha towards social. Human Rights Commission director suspended. The minister calls for independence of strategic institutions of governance. Youths have nothing to celebrate, says advocate. In international news, Japan to give $8 million to Egyptian hostage Palestinians. And in sports news, 32 apprentice referees undergoing FIFA Young Talent course. Details coming shortly. Stay tuned.
Baby sunganileke ona kwa mena tachokela sunganileke nisibani masoma pena bati sunganileke vela njota kumutima iweka frutikana iwe na nevi endela na nisimu na phone
It was all in my head. Frutikana zona.
Frutikana. Feel the rhythm, taste the fun.
And now the news in detail. The Ministry of Finance and National Planning has revealed that in February 2024, the Treasury released 11.7 billion kwacha to finance public service delivery, of which 2.1 billion kwacha went towards transfers, subsidies and social benefits. The ministry further released 1.3 billion kwacha towards the implementation of various government programs and general operations and 911.3 million kwacha to capital expenditure programs. Furthermore, 3.1 billion kwacha was spent on debt service, domestic and external, and arrears, while the public service wage bill consumed 4.3 billion kwacha transfers and subsidies. The Treasury further released a total of 2.1 billion kwacha for transfers and subsidies, among which notable expenditure items included 453.9 million kwacha for operations of hospitals and grant-aided institutions in government ministries, 258.6 million kwacha for the social cash transfer program, 380 million kwacha to the public service pension funds and funding gap, and an operation grant 120.8 million kwacha to the local government equalization fund, 145.4 million kwacha for universities operations and students loans and scholarships, 100.6 million kwacha for food security packs, and 100 million kwacha to local authorities superannuation fund for financing gap. This is contained in a statement made available to Millennium TV by the Ministry of Finance and National Planning. Former Defense Minister Richwell Siamunene has raised concerns over the independence of strategic institutions of governance, stating that those heading these institutions are vulnerable to outside influence and pressure, which has led to a situation where they are unable to operate in a neutral and independent manner. Speaking when he featured on Millennium TV's The Platform program, Mr. Siamunene says lack of professionalism in Zambia's governance institutions is a direct result of the undue influence of those in power. He states that the institutions are not operating in a neutral and objective manner, as they are being pressured and threatened by those in power to act in accordance with their selfish desires. Mr. Siamunene further urges for reform to ensure that the country's institutions are able to operate independently and free from political interference.
There are no guidelines to say when this person is appointed, how can he be fired? What issues will lead to his dismissal? There must be guidelines that such that even the president himself, he is guided by those rules. That if he does that, violates that, then he must be liable to some kind of punitive measures. From the same constitution must have provision on that. Now, we have seen in the past that those who are heading strategic institutions, institutions of governance, they are vulnerable, such that they are not able to operate properly. They are favoring the part in government. We saw it in the previous administration, and we are seeing it now. So these are things that were, and they also, it goes again down there to officers within that department. For that head of department to fire somebody, there must be guidelines. There must be issues. He must report to a certain institution that these are violations of this particular individual. And as such, I'm guided by these guidelines that I should institute this action against this particular individual. But that is not the case. One will wake up in the morning and say, look, I'm dropping the IG. And the IG will wake up in the morning, if there is any officer who is not doing very well.
The Human Rights Commission is first in upheaval as its director, Sindiso Sichone, has been suspended following undisclosed disciplinary charges. According to a statement from the Commission's Board of Commissioners, Mrs. Sichone's suspension was unanimously decided during a statutory meeting held on November 8, 2023. This action was taken to allow for an independent investigation into the allegations against her. While the Commission emphasizes the confidentiality of internal disciplinary matters, they maintain that the decision was made without external influence and was conducted in accordance with established procedures. However, the lack of transparency surrounding the charges has sparked speculation and raised concerns about the Commission's integrity and leadership. The Drug Enforcement Commission, DEC, has apprehended 4 individuals believed to be behind the state of illicit drug trade in Joma town in Southern Province. Speaking in a statement availed to Millennium TV, DEC Public Relations Officer Mwenge Mlenga says the suspects identified as Lusho Mobanda, male aged 21, Gift Mdenda, male aged 20, Lakson Mulunda, male aged 23, and Simon Mashikini, male aged 27 of Choma Town area, were found with 66 sachets of heroin weighing over 4 grams and loose cannabis. Mr. Mlenga adds that 2 others in Northern Province were apprehended after 2 separate operations were executed, of which the Commission seized fresh cannabis weighing a large amount of 527.3 kilograms. He says that the suspects have been identified as Fabian Chipasha, male age 67 from Chitoshi village of Lunte district, who was arrested for the offense of unlawful cultivation of 482 kgs of fresh cannabis plants, and Gabriel Chama, male age 35 of Kabuta village of Luwingu district, who was also arrested for the offense of unlawful cultivation of 45.3 kgs of fresh cannabis plants. He has since added that all the suspects have been charged with offences contrary to Section 15 of the Narcotic and Psychotropic Substances Act No. 35 of 2021 of the laws of Zambia and are scheduled to appear before the court of law soon.
The Drug Enforcement Commission in Choma, Southern Province, has arrested 4 individuals allegedly believed to have been masterminds behind the illicit drug trade in Choma town. Of the 4, Lusho Mobanda, male age 21, was found with 68 sachets of heroin, while Gift Mudenda, Lakson Mulunda, and Simon Mashikini were caught with loose cannabis. This operation aimed at curbing drug trafficking in the area, ensuring community safety. In Northern Province, we also conducted 2 separate operations which led to the arrest of Fabian Chipasha, male age 67, and Gabriel Chama, male age 35, for unlawful cultivation of fresh cannabis. Chipasha from Chitoshi village was cultivating 482 kilograms of fresh cannabis, while Chama from Kabuta village had 45.3 kilograms of fresh cannabis. The Commission seized a total of 527.3 kilograms of fresh cannabis in these operations, which is more than half a ton, underscoring efforts to combat drug-related crime in the region.
One Vision Alliance Executive Director Chilufya Luchembe says youths have no reason to celebrate Youth Day, as over 60% of the youths are currently unemployed, contributing to the high levels of poverty in the country. Speaking in an interview with Millennium TV, Mr. Luchembe says the majority of youths have been subjected to leadership that has deliberately neglected them to mere political tools of political violence. Mr. Luchembe adds that the majority of youths have been socially, economically, and politically alienated from national economic and political development, stating that female youths then are forced to engage in activities like prostitution just so they can cope with the harsh economic hardships. He has since implored all youths in the country to get involved in matters of national interest, get organized, and hold those managing public affairs and resources accountable for their actions.
60% of our population constitutes the youth, who are apparently the most hard hit with high levels of poverty, the high cost of living and unemployment. And with the announcement by ZESCO that they are commencing an 8-hour daily load shedding, this will spell doom to a lot of youths. It is not right for our leaders to use our youth during their political activities, political violence, foot soldiers and campaigns. And when it comes to sharing positions in decision making, we relegate them to begging from one office to the other, begging for some money for rent, transport, and so on and so forth. It is for this reason that One Vision Alliance is calling upon all the youths in Zambia to get involved, to sit down and redefine our destiny together.
United Party for National Development UPND consultant Mark Simuwe said Zambia's ranking among top 3 of the most democratic nations in the world is a testament to the country's political system under the UPND government. Mr. Simuwe says that this ranking is a clear indication that the UPND is not a dictatorship and is capable of upholding democratic values and principles. He explains that the repeal of the criminal defamation law has indeed had a significant impact on freedom of expression in the country, adding that it has allowed citizens to speak their minds without fear of criminal prosecution and has made the president more tolerant of criticism and dissent. He adds that this development has been widely hailed as a positive step forward for democracy in the country. Mr. Simuwe further adds that it is a notable achievement for government and one that can be seen as a sign of their commitment and democratic values.
Let us all reflect on the idea of Zambia coming up and coming out among the top 3 most democratic state in the world. It is an achievement that we need to relish on. But most importantly, it's important for us to reflect on what is it that Zambia has done to achieve such an undertaking. Number one, you are all aware that Zambia has had one of the most important pieces of legislation which in a way stifled Zambia's democracy, and that is the criminal defamation of the president, which was scrapped off from our laws. That is a milestone for the country, especially when it comes to freedoms of expression. The other one is access to information, bill acted into law. What that particular law has done is that
energy expert Boniface Zulu says the Zambian economy is likely to suffer due to load shedding, as most companies will not fully operate as they should, posing a threat on production levels. Speaking in an interview with Millennium TV, Mr. Zulu states that the just started load shedding will result in reduced industrial output, as industries will be forced to cut back on production, leading to a decrease in gross domestic product (GDP). He adds that there will be increased operational costs as businesses will opt for other sources of electricity thereby increasing the cost of goods and services. He has since advised members of the public to exercise a mindset change, as the over-dependence on ZESCO has made ordinary Zambians vulnerable to the fluctuations in power supply.
The Zambian economy is likely to suffer again due to load shedding through, firstly, reduced industrial output. Industries are forced to cut back on production, leading to a decrease in GDP. Secondly, job losses. As companies cannot operate at full capacity, workers are laid off, increasing unemployment. Thirdly, increased operational costs. Businesses resort to expensive alternatives like generators, increasing the cost of goods and services. Lastly, impact on small businesses. Small enterprises, particularly in the Central Business District, CBD, and markets, struggle to remain operational during power cuts, which affects their businesses. So, local government needs to come up with policies to ensure that normal business operations are not affected by load shedding. Local government can come up with incentives, can incentivize renewable energy, providing subsidies or tax breaks for businesses that install renewable energy. Secondly, infrastructure development, investing in public solar powered facilities in the CBD and in markets. Thirdly, energy efficiency programs, encouraging energy saving practices.
Advocate for National Development and Democracy, ANDD Executive Director Samuel Banda, has advised government to create a conducive economic environment for youths to participate in national development. Mr. Banda says government must create an enabling environment for SMEs in order for youths to venture into entrepreneurship and contribute to the country's development. He adds that the current economic conditions is discouraging youths to participate in the development of the country due to the high cost of doing business. He has further called on President Hakainde Hichilema to stabilize the exchange rate in order to reduce the cost of doing business, which will encourage more youths to venture in different business activities. And in community news, residents of George Compound have called on police to intensify patrols in the area in anticipation of criminal activities taking place due to load shedding. In an interview with Millennium TV News, the residents complained that junkies are terrorizing their compound by breaking into homes and robbing people. They say the area is not safe at night and during the day, which will be worsened by the blackouts. We have more in the following report by Justina Mandona.
Government, it better for security, papa, the security, but I'm right, money, but patrol kisepo, kwa George. Ara 12 for Fivirama Jankire and Sara. 12 for finger.
Residents of George Compound are complaining about load shedding in their area, saying it will affect their safety. In an interview with Millennium TV News this afternoon, residents complained that the blackout will increase the crime rates in the area. They have further called on the police to intensively patrol the area as it is unsafe for them during the night now that load shedding has begun.
Bosi fwe kuno yari kosa aro mama na station twaikirira mukono kwa George ama right kushupa ama janki gakwa fita fya ama right yaya tete mwendo busiku kuno amen sita kwaba yari kosa kuno yari kosa mone na bantiri finyo fo baba akuri ni kamo yari kosa
batumine ko bakapokola bengi bambe okola turondera ko malodi muri mwashara mayanda mudia mufiyanda mulaikala majangi.
Isa tunacho security nkalepo tenzile kuchukua majangi na paka yo time yakati kafipa sonde pane ngala bize pane paya bantu bevutane trace ngekuno majangi maningi so problem ya malaiti kapitiliza ndipo yakuzama pesa katapaiwa fuka cha mdini
ngakuno kwa George twalomba sana security ya kulako. Security nga ya kulako mbeni na majanki azamo chitako lijuzi moenda ini makamaka mu main road umu na kuma central twa mukati.
Millennium TV News, Justina K. Mandona in Lusaka.
Just now, we take a break. We have stories across the borders and sports news coming up. Stay tuned.
The power of perspective brings about fresh thinking. Your perspective will either become your prison or your passport. So it's not what you look at that matters, but how you see it. Always look with fresh eyes. Vatra. Hydrate. Celebrate.
Today,
start big
with Big Tree
Cornflakes.
Big Tree Cornflakes.
Start big. The end of your journey will be big. Stay on your feet, chase to achieve. Give it your all and just believe that it's gonna be big when you start big. Big Tree Cornflakes. Start big today. Big Tree Cornflakes. Remember to always keep it, do it. In whatever you do, do it. Keep it in whatever you do.
Today, the best maize grain Zambia has to offer are perfectly toasted into golden flakes that pack a big crunch. Today, start big with Big Tree Cornflakes.
Thank you for staying with us. In international news, Japan signed an agreement with the World Health Organization (WHO) on Sunday to provide funds for critical medical aid to Egyptian hospitals that treat injured people from the Gaza Strip. Japanese ambassador to Cairo, Oka Hiroshi, said that the support, estimated at $8 million, is to provide critical medical supplies. Egyptian Minister of International Cooperation, Rania Al-Mashat, commended the action of the Japanese government. Hanan Bauki, WHO Regional Director of Eastern Mediterranean, who witnessed, the signing ceremony, said that WHO life-saving efforts are hampered by access restrictions, and she thanked Japan's efforts to help those affected in Gaza. Israel's war on Gaza has taken many hospitals in the Strip out of service. Those that remain open are overcrowded, face electricity cuts, and lack supplies. The WHO has appealed for attacks on health facilities to stop. And in sports news, 32 apprentice referees are undergoing a FIFA Young Talent course in Lusaka, being undertaken by high-level instructions. FIFA instructor Felix Tangawarima said and Mark Nzengo are presiding over the course alongside local instructors, namely Bernard Chavala, Janice Kazwe, and Azif Banda. The 32 are drawn across the 10 provinces of Zambia, with FAS Referees Committee Chairperson Mwemba Mulala urging the budding referees to embrace integrity. Mujala, who is also Luapula Province FAS Chairperson, says the integrity mantra spearheaded by FAS Chief Andrew Kamanga was critical in the work of match officials. He has thanked FIFA for availing top instructors to mentor young talents and expressed delight at the nationwide representation of the participants. On that note, we end the news. Let's go through stories making headlines once again. Ministry of Finance releases 11.7 billion kwacha towards transfers, subsidies and social benefits. Ex-Defense Minister calls for independence of strategic institutions of governance. Youths have nothing to celebrate, says advocate. In international news, Japan to give $8 million to Egyptian hospitals treating injured Palestinians. And in sports news, 32 apprentice referees undergoing a FIFA Young Talent course. Abinyo Caster given Banda on behalf of the entire news team. It's goodbye and stay tuned for Millennium Tonight program coming at 20 hours.